And we are now live. Good morning, everybody. So I just got to move this over. Let's start with the video. Why not?
An old dog new tricks. Hi, I'm Gail Ribenstein, the founder and CEO of a company called Retail Resilient Social Selling for the Car Industry. And we help auto dealers, auto agencies, and vendors in the auto industry sell more cars, service more cars, and make more money using our social selling strategy. That includes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and anything else you can think of. So if you're looking to invest thousands and make millions, we're definitely the social selling company for you. Like I said, who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
If you run a service drive, you know these days first impressions matter. But when your advisors are tied up with inbound phone calls, they tend to neglect their other, more important duties. And did you know 75% of all service calls are frequently asked questions and routine requests? Still, the average dealer misses up to 30% of inbound calls, adding up to a ton of missed service opportunity and increased customer churn. 68% of callers actually go elsewhere if they can't get through, which means you could be losing $60,000 to $70,000 every month in service revenue simply from missing calls. So who will pick up? Introducing Brooke.
Hi there.
Your best service scheduling assistant. Brooke is the first intelligent digital voice assistant to answer, handle, and appoint all of your inbound service calls. Hiring Brooke means absolutely no call goes unanswered, boosting your customer satisfaction and reducing your overhead costs. And talking to Brooke is like talking to a friend with human-level understanding and a friendly conversational voice. Her conversational intelligence is built on millions of actual service industry conversations, making her the easiest onboard you'll ever have. She can handle any volume of calls and follows your policies every step of the way, 24/7. That means even when the lights are off, Brooke is always on.
And I can do it without missing a beat.
You really do check all the boxes. Book with Brooke today. Visit Brooke.ai or call 866-942-1236. Finally, the perfect match.
Welcome to Loud Motorsport. I'm Crystal, the general manager here. So we're always hesitant bringing someone new in, especially with COVID and bringing a new company in and trying to get that launched and getting it launched the right way without having someone in store. Rapid Recon was able to give us the communication and the support that we needed from day one. Very fast to respond. It made it seamless from start to finish. Anytime that someone talks about a low volume store, they think that you can just walk around and not very many people to track down to get approvals. That's not the case. If we want to get the car through the process, we still have jobs to do. We still have customers to help. And this really puts it right at our fingertips and allows us to approve it instantly, even if we have a customer sitting in front of us. Since bringing Rapid Recon on, we have really improved our sales. It's allowed us to get the cars to the front line a lot quicker, which in turn gives us more volume. So we went from an average of 75 a month to now averaging over 100 just in a short amount of time. I would recommend Rapid Recon to anyone that is even remotely thinking about it. Thanks for stopping by today. For more information on Loud Motorsport, you can always go to loudmotorsport.com or stop in here in Minerva, Ohio. We ship all over the country.
Thanks to all our sponsors. And of course, special thanks to Gail for being on live. I just got to quit this. How do I do that?
Well, we just now have competition for for Gail's video with that lady from the Ford dealer.
Yeah. No, it's great. I loved it.
Let me just move this over. There we go. So we still are looking for sponsors for season sponsorship for next year, but more importantly for show sponsorship. If you're looking to grow your business, we are doing shows for different companies. So stay tuned for a few announcements.
We're very happy to highlight you if you sponsor the show. Trust me.
Exactly. And there's a few books. Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowes. Firms of Endearment, which actually was referenced in that video if you were here earlier on. So it's kind of an interesting book. And then The Snowball System, How to Win More Business and Turn Clients into Raving Fans by Mo Blundell. There's a lot of other books, but it seems like there's only a couple people that have written books on this, which is kind of interesting. Go ahead, Jeff, with the disclaimer.
Good morning, everybody. And of course, the Auto Hub show is here for the benefit of all of our viewers and our guests. And of course, our guests' viewpoints are those of themselves and not necessarily that of ours. The show or Ian Nethercott or Jeff Polo. And if you'd like to go check our website, you can read this in depth because it's way too long for me to talk.
Absolutely. And just in case you're unaware, definitely check out our revised YouTube channel. I've made a lot of improvements over the weekend, so you can now see videos by category, by most popular, by all kinds of different things. And of course, we're always looking for great guests and of course, great listeners, whether it be on our live platform or whether it be on one of our other platforms. Special thanks, obviously, to Stephen Granger and Larry for coming in, and also Guy, and of course, Don and Gail. The topic today is how to create raving fans. And to reference the video, if you didn't see it earlier, basically the difference between a raving fan and a happy customer or satisfied customer is these raving fans are actually sad if you go out of business or sad if you lose business. That's the difference. And I think that was a real idea thing for me, because when I looked at all the videos online, most of them were like, oh, here's the 5 techniques. Here's the 5 customer handling. Here's the this. But really, these people become marketers. And I'll use Tesla as an example. They can spend more on R&D because they don't spend any money on marketing. So it's very interesting. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, well, that's very true. You know, there's lots to be said about people like Tesla, because the fact is you're right. I never really thought about that till just now. They spend no money on marketing. Ever since day one, all of a sudden they just appeared. And somebody did something right there, and definitely raving fans. And they have to have it right now because they've got their challenges on quality and supply, but they're still doing record numbers. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Today is the How to Create Ravings Fans Show. And joining us today, we have our scheduled guests are Don Graff he's the president of Graff Automotive Advisors and one of the greatest names of any town I've ever seen, Bonita Springs, Florida. Don, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, Don Graff here, Don Graff Automotive Advisors. Been in the business for a long time, graduate of where have I been? Graduate of the Dealer Academy in 1986. Then had every job in the dealership from sales to the general manager. The last 20 years I've been doing consulting. Last 6 years I've been down here in Southwest Florida, and we work on the premise of the Graff profit matrix. We believe in the quadrant, working with people, process, visibility, and finance. Believe that we can solve problems in those 4 areas. We can drive profitability for the dealership.
Excellent, thank you. But if you haven't used it, I'm going to make a suggestion. And if you do use it, and it's a new thing to you, I want 10% of the profits. Is use the to measure profits, use the graph.
Oh, that was like a dad joke.
I'm the king of dad jokes.
That was good. I'll take it.
I thought probably we agreed on 25%.
Sure. That goes to the 10% Larry owes me for his Canadian operations, which I might see it in a state. Next, we have joining us, truly at the no risk of offending anybody, our favorite guest, our favorite sponsor, the lady who insulted the three of us this morning by moving all that hair away. Gail Ribenstein, the founder, CEO of Retail Resilient, now from a great name, Stuart, Florida. Gail, say hi, and you don't have to tell anybody about yourself, but tell us words of wisdom.
Well, hi, I'm Gail. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm usually on the show on a weekly basis. Dawn and I actually used to work together in the retail car business when I was young. So I think I was 23 years old when I started in sales, and I think that was around when I met.
That was 3 years ago.
That's funny. And I'm excited to be on this show because the Retail Resilient business is built on the premise of having raving fans on social, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty excited to be talking about raving fans today.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you do, and thanks for being a guest here specifically. It's nice to highlight you as well. And I cannot continue without recognizing three of our raving fans. Stephen Granger from somewhere, because I think he's from Texas, but he looks like he's in a hotel room. And Larry Feldman from Gail's old hometown area, Philadelphia.
Yeah, and he still likes cheesesteaks. What's going on? What's going on?
I'm raving fans of Dawn. I'm a raving fan of Larry.
And of course, Guy Olivier Potvin, who I'm not really sure, but it sounds like you're from Montreal. Thanks for spending the time with us as you guys regularly do. And Ian, let's go to start off with the kickoff question.
Absolutely. Every dealer flaunts how they create a wonderful experience. And actually, I was talking to Jeff a while ago. There's a dealer, instead of having a documentation fee, they have an experience fee at the dealership. So I said to the salesman, so what if my experience isn't good? Do I not pay that fee? And he's like, what do you mean? So I thought that was kind of interesting.
If I can interject, Ian,
yeah,
that reminds me about 20, 25 years ago. And I know every area we are in North America, probably Europe, the TV station or whatever, they do one of those exposés on dealerships and they send in the hidden camera. And they went to this one place, and the salesman they got, pardon the term, was fresh off the boat. He was new. He had limited English. And as they're going over the numbers, the salesman says, they're talking about price and they're trying to trap him. They say, well, what's this? He says, well, that's the reputation fee. He goes, the reputation? He says, yes, because we have good reputation. It was the admin fee for a lease, but he didn't get it. So hijack it. Please go ahead, Ian.
Either by price or experience, what do you think is the biggest influence in creating raving fans? So let's start with Don, because he was on before Gail. Go ahead, Don.
I think the main thing is the culture. You have to have it from the top to the bottom. Everybody has to be singing from the same hymn book. For instance, when Gail and I worked together at Flemington Car and Truck Country, they were very much creating raving fans. And their theory was that if they drove the traffic through the sales department in a meaningful way, that they would keep those customers returning to the service department forever. And they pretty much were doing that. When I was running their e-commerce department, we had, what do we have then? 15 stores. Mm-hmm. And they were doing 12 or 13,000 transactions. 4,500 of them were through the internet. They just bought totally into that process.
Excuse me, was that Steve Califer stores?
Oh yes,
yes,
absolutely.
It was.
Yeah.
What a great gentleman.
He was an incredible person to work for. You would go with him with a request, and very rarely did anything I asked for get denied. In fact, I'll tell a funny story real quickly. Talk about raving fans. The controller came to see me one day and said, we need to talk about your budget. And I said, okay. Okay. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of a cut, which is okay. It's a great place to work. So he said, no, Steve wants to talk to you about his billboards. Now, if anyone knows anything about Mr. Califer, as soon as you got off a plane at Newark Airport, you're seeing a billboard for Flemington Car and Truck Country. You came over the bridge from Philadelphia to New Jersey, there is a billboard for Flemington Car and Truck Country. You're on the Atlantic City Expressway leaving Atlantic City, there's a billboard for Flemington Car and Truck Country. So I wondered where he's going to put another billboard. And we joked about it, and he wanted to put a couple of billboards, and I was going to lose some digital marketing. So I said, that's fine. Can you go ahead and put some more billboards on?
Interesting.
Hey, Don.
Yes.
If the topic here is how to have raving fans, let's not forget the fact that Mr. Califer was such a gentleman and such a likable guy, and that's the kind of thing that permeates the culture from the top down. The reason I like being with these two crazy Canadians is every time you see them, they're smiling, they're happy. Gail, I teach salespeople, well, besides a whole bunch of insane things, I teach them to smile. Because nobody wants to deal with, can I help you? Not really. Is there anyone here whose puppy didn't die? So
just so you know, Larry, Gail is also Canadian. Not to say that she isn't American, but she's also Canadian. Just so you know. Go ahead.
So you have a dual citizenship. So you can watch
like a one-ton. She's a dually.
I'm a dual.
You can watch a hockey game while eating a cheesesteak. It's perfect.
Agree 100%. Go ahead, Gail.
What was the original question actually?
How do you create dealers talk about a wonderful experience or pricer experience, or what do you think is really how you can create a fan? It's great to talk about experience or talk about customer service or talk about that, but how do you think they can really create that memorable experience?
So I guess from the position that I'm in today versus when I was in a dealership, so now I train salespeople how to post on social. They have a lot of raving fans in their communities. So an example would be, and I use this a lot, we work with a dealer group called Step On Automotive Group, and they're in the state of Georgia and Florida, and they have raving fans on social media, like people that like absolutely love them. And it's because they're salespeople. Like Larry said, they smile in their photos. Their customers are always happy when they're taking delivery of a car and they shoot those photos. They bring out raving fans by showcasing like transparency and fun that they have at the dealership. And it really, really creates buzz in the community. We created raving fans with social, kind of in a similar method. So it's basically good content, right? If you're a car dealer, it's good new car offers, good used car offers, good service offers, good posts. And for us, it's the same thing. It's like we have good content for car dealers, and then people will call us and be like, we've been following, like I literally had a girl, Erica. I don't know this girl, but she called us, sent in a lead. We closed her on going to our school, and I called her and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're calling me. I've been following you for 5 years on the internet. So I don't know, like in her eyes, her perception is that she loved our company and she was a raving fan and she liked our content and she became our customer.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny you bring that up because I was at NADA 2020. And as I was leaving, I was sitting at a lounge at the airport, and a guy came up to me. He's been connected to me on LinkedIn for almost 10 years.
Wow.
It's like, I've been following your content for almost 10 years. It's great to meet you in person. And I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's content.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, your raving fans come from the content you post.
Yeah, and then Jeff,
they like you, they believe in you, they respect you, and they like listening to you.
Yeah, Jeff and I were talking about that this morning. There's actually a really interesting app for smart TVs called Haystack. And there's Euronews has something called Positive News that they do every day. It's called the 5 Positive News Stories Daily. And it was really interesting because I know that the thought has always been negative news sells, but I think it'd be interesting to do a comparison if you actually had a whole channel that was just positive, what that would actually do. It'd be very interesting. Stephen, you have any thoughts?
Yeah. I actually think a lot about, and I just had a kind of a distant memory of being in college and remembering a political science class and a professor saying something that I think totally fits. He asked everyone who their state representative was. And part of it was funny because only half the class knew. I was like, that's not a good sign. But then he followed up and said, what do you think about your representative? And every one of the people said, oh, he or she's great. They do so much stuff for our state. They really care about all this awesome stuff. And then he said, well, what does everybody in here think about Congress in general? Oh, they're terrible. They're the worst people ever. And he said, okay, well, how can every one of your persons be great, but yet they're all terrible? And I think that happens to the car industry, because every time you ask somebody about buying a car, probably 9 times out of 10, I would say, not everyone, but they always have something. Oh, my God, it was great. She was so awesome. She took care of me. She made sure the child seat fit. It's great stuff. But oftentimes the message is, oh, they're terrible. They try and steal money from me. And I think if we could do a better job of taking those stories when people are like, I love my salesperson, they were awesome, and projecting that, it would help build that raving fan base, because they're already there. It's just voicing that kind of what's already been said, is just projecting that out more.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because we had a dealer on last week and he happened to buy a Tesla Model S Plaid. And he had nothing but a horrible experience in every step of the process, but he's such a fanboy of Tesla. He's like, yeah, sales experience was horrible. Online experience was horrible. Service experience has been a train wreck. The car broke. They loaned me a gas car to fix it when it was being fixed. And then they sent me an email saying it was done and it wasn't done. But he says, but I love the technology. So it was kind of interesting, because even in that case where every touch point was bad, and obviously there's room for improvement, really what was interesting was he's still a fanboy. To this day, it was very interesting. But go ahead, Jeff, next question.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You mentioned that, Stephen, because you're right. So many people sit there and go, oh, this was great. That was great. I posted something on LinkedIn earlier in the week, and I admitted that I'm a fan of Big Brother. And not so much that I'm a fan, my daughter is, so, we end up watching it. And the Canadian one is on right now. And one of the house guests is a GM from a Mitsubishi store on Vancouver Island. For those of you who know, it's just an island off the coast of Western Canada. And unfortunately, this guy put forward this image of being a smarmy car salesman. He manipulated, which everybody has to do on that show. I'm a car guy, and I could never lie to people like they do on that show. But nevertheless, there's all these people in their early 20s saying to him, hey, come on, man, just leave that car salesman crap somewhere else. We don't want to hear it. And raving fans, how do you do that? And I remember what I used to do myself, and even taught all my salespeople, is when somebody takes delivery of the car, and they get into the car, stand there and wait till they leave the lot and wave at them. And 20 years later, I had people bump into me and tell me they remembered that. Way to go. But that's one of the ways. But tell me something, is creating raving fans selfish, selfless, or what? And actually, Don, everybody's been talking over you, so I'll ask you that.
Is it
selfish, selfless? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for others? Or what? What's your opinion?
Well, if you believe what they tell you when you go to work in a dealership, you're going to be there a long time. You're doing it for both. You're doing it to grow your own business because they're giving you a desk, they're giving you a phone, they're doing all the advertising for you, and you're going to grow your business, and they're going to continue to support you. And so your fans are their fans, and their fans become your fans. So I think it's a circle, virtually. What do you think?
Well, I think it's important because I'm the host, so I can ask other people. But yeah, it's my opinion has always been it's as human beings, we're supposed to be selfish. We do things for ourselves. Even people who go out and help dogs and help homeless, they do that because it makes them warm and fuzzy.
Right.
And, why do we want to create raving fans? Because we want everybody to adore us or what?
Right. You want to have friends. No one wants to be alone. You want to create friends. You want to get more phone calls. You want to be active. You want to be hanging out at your desk, not doing anything.
If somebody wants something that's going to cost you money. Because we love our money. Gail, what do you think?
I am on the same page as Don, where it's both. So, from a selfish point of view, I definitely have a small ego. I definitely paid Facebook for followers, and I did it to build the perception that in the auto industry that I am the go-to person for social selling. So that I did out of selfish reasons to get raving fans. But then once I had 10,000 fans, it grew to 20,000 and 30,000 on our page. But I bought the initial chunk of car dealers for selfish reasons. But then for selfless reasons, I know I can help car dealers, right? So we have proven case studies of car salespeople and dealers we've helped on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So at the end of the day, it's also selfless because I know they need the help, right? And I can give them what they need. Obviously, we do it in exchange for money, but it's both, right? So I want to help these people. I've been in the car business my whole life. I want to help them sell 20 or more cars a month because I know they'll live this great lifestyle. So it's both. It's really both.
I want you to know something, that we at the Auto Hub Show do this purely for selfless reasons, because we all want everybody to get along and to be happy. And in that show that Stephen mentioned, which I think he disappeared on us, so the heck with him. But yeah, if there was a good news show, I have an idea for a show is that we have Anderson Cooper and Hannity on together, and all they do is tell each other good things about themselves. But Larry, what do you think about that?
I definitely think it's both. One of the things I ask people, new hires, are you nice people? And of course, nobody's going to raise their hand and say, no, I'm a creep. I say, well, I happen to be a nice guy. I followed up with my customers as they had a problem. I solved it. But there are a lot of creeps in the car business, just like there are in every other avenue in life. So if you really feel you're a good person, then you're doing them a favor by selling them, because if you don't, they may get somebody that doesn't treat them right. Therefore, you have the right to have them. They deserve to have you as their salesperson. You deserve to have them as your customer. I'm wearing, because you had your topic today, I'm wearing my Kellogg school. Years ago, I brought my Cadillac dealership from the bottom to the top, and they gave me these choice of rewards. And everybody was laughing at me because instead of taking a trip, I decided I'd go to the Kellogg school. I just figured I'd get a little smarter. Well, Jeff and Ian, you're going to be shocked to hear this, but I destabilized the whole class. Everybody,
oh my God, how could you do that?
I made friends I haven't had in 10 years. This all comes back to servant management and attitude of gratitude. If you're glad to talk to people and you got a smile on your face, everybody on this program goes home to somebody and you're having a rotten day and they say, what's wrong? And Gail, you probably say the same thing I do. Nothing's wrong. But they always know. There's no marquee over our head that says Jeff's bad day. It's all over our face. So when people don't see that we're happy, then they're not happy. And if you don't think making money, and I mean, we've all seen this, the salespeople kiss the butt of the manager, but not the customer. It's the customer that's ultimately paying them. Management's just the middle guy. So yeah, I'm all in on servant management. And if you treat people well and you're really glad, you're going to make a lot of money and they're going to tell other people. And by the way, one last thing and I'll shut up. They do perceive us to be slime, and that's the greatest thing ever, because nothing is stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive. Gail, did you ever go to the movies and it's sold out the one you want to see, and you see something that got horrible reviews and you called all your friends and went, I don't know what the hell they were talking about. That movie was great. Nothing stronger than when you didn't think you'd like something and it turns out you love it.
Yep.
100%.
I agree.
So is it selfish or selfless to create fans?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that was you. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And on the Auto Hub show, we are live with bloopers. No, you're the next one, Ian.
Who is what truly makes fans? The company, the CEO, the process, or the frontline staff? Who wants to go for first?
Nobody's talking.
Nobody's talking.
It's both. Okay, because here's the deal. If your frontline people aren't any good, they don't get to the backline people, right? If you've toasted the customer, they're not even getting a chance to get to you. But if the head guy, you know,
The lady.
Head gal.
anybody that's worked at a dealership has seen this, particularly old guys like me. We would go into sales meetings and they would beat us unconscious. It was like they broke the Geneva Convention for cruel and unusual candidates. Wait, no, here's the beauty. After they insulted you, would beat you to death, told you were worthless, used curse words that would make a sailor blush, then they always say the same thing. Go out and sell some cars. Sell some cars, you wanted to go kick your dog. So if the management isn't positive, you're dead. On the other hand, so I think everything you're asking now is like multiple choice. It's definitely A and B.
Yeah, thanks. Gail?
I think this goes back to what Don was saying about Steve Califer and Flemington Car and Truck, because Steve, as the CEO and president, he did create those raving fans.
Yeah.
Everything he did trickled from the top down. Like the things he did in the community and the little like monkey bears that he would give to the kids. I still have mine in my car. It's like a monkey with magnets and it says Flemington Car and Truck on it. And people ask me all the time, and I was like, that is a representation of the man that I worked for 15 years. And he cared so much about the like families and kids and like providing to that community. And that's why they became raving fans, because he cared. Like,
And he still made a lot of money, right?
Cared. What?
You still made a good
a
living.
lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Well, he sold the company to AutoNation and bought it back for 2/3 of what he sold it to them for.
Interesting.
But you know what?
And he gained a super controller.
Yeah. And I gotta say, okay, so Steve Califer, even though he made millions of dollars, he actually is a selfless man, and I'll tell you why. He taught me one lesson, and this is the one lesson that I have kept my whole life. He said, Gail, if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of other people. He's like, you can't. You have to put yourself first so you're healthy, you're in like a good place and a good space, and then like abundance will flow to you and you can put it out into the world, but you have to start with yourself. And
Yeah,
I
let's see.
literally use that theory since the day I met him.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and he's much smarter than I am, but I used to boil down to when you're in an airplane with a child, they always say if the masks fall, put your mask over your face before
Right.
your babies, because
You
if you
can
can't help
save
yourself,
other people.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it started with him. Like I think it starts with the CEO.
You know, it's very funny too, because Larry mentioned the meeting thing, and we've all of us have been around here, and Tim, I'm sure you've been around too. And you know, all of us have been in that meeting where somebody of power comes in and ends the meeting. I was talking about this yesterday with somebody. They, you know, you feel the electricity in the room, and they're like, everybody's like, wow. And then somebody with power comes in and poops all over the parade, and they leave like this, and they turn around and look at the customer when they leave, and they go, what?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very true. I remember a guy that I used to work with moved down to Phoenix. And of course, in Canada here, a big store is a 150, 200 unit a month store. He moved down to Phoenix to, I believe, I can't remember what it was called, but he moved to a Chrysler store down there that was doing $1,200 a month, and we were shocked. And then he moved to a Toyota store, I think Camelback. And he told me about how they did the sales meeting in the middle of the showroom. The crew was 20 guys or 20 people. And the manager stood in the middle, just like the huddle at the, you know, in a football team or something, and pumped everybody up. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They turned around, and there were customers, and they went, hello, everybody. What a way to make fans.
Yeah.
And Don, you have some thoughts?
It's still, go back to Steve Califer and those guys. When I went to work for them, they're going to build me an office. I could have an office upstairs with all executives, and I chose to have an office down on the sales floor across from the general manager for the Ford store. And that impressed them a great deal. I didn't realize it at the time, but to be within the, really in the arena where the fight takes place, and to watch how the customers interact with the staff, and to be coaching my people in that environment as well. It was just a wonderful thing. And Gail will tell you, they believed in transparency. They did things before anyone else did. I remember them working with the guys from JM&A when they were presenting leases and retail pricing to the customer, and they would present them 3 ways, and they would go through great pains to really spend time with the salesperson to teach them how to present it, so they weren't running back and forth to the desk and pencil the deal 3 and 4 times. So there'd be 1 or 2 pencils, the customer understood it. They weren't taking advantage of the customer, the deal was seamless. And customers left very happy, incredibly happy, I can tell you. And I can remember another instance, they lived and died by meetings in this organization, NCN meetings. Being the e-commerce director, I was in a general manager's meeting, which took place the 2nd week of the month, all day on Monday. Every general manager, and you had 15 of them, so it did take all day. God forbid that you didn't take care of a customer. There's a particular situation where a customer had a situation with a wheel and tire, and Byron Brisby, who was the operations director, had a situation, and he called out a general manager for not handling this situation with the customer the first time it got to his desk. And he read him the riot act in front of 14 other managers and myself. So when you were, let's say, you were berated at that level, you knew what the expectation was, that you took care of a customer for a few $100s. It was not a big deal. It was an expectation.
Yeah.
The car was supposed to be perfect at delivery because it was a used car. It was perfect. It was a promise made. It was a promise delivered.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they owned up to their word. I must say they were both a man of their word. Like you followed those rules. It was pretty cool, actually. Good place to work.
Very funny too. How many people will spend a fortune proving that they were right when they were wrong, instead of saying we're wrong, take care of it, and spend a little bit of money. And it's amazing how many customers I've seen come in and scream at somebody that said, no, you're wrong. And then somebody said, sir, you're right. I'm terribly sorry. What would you like me to do? And they go, no, you don't have to do anything. I just wanted you to know what happened. Boom, over. And when I got that,
raving fans in the car business.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So tell me something, Dawn. Oh, by the way, I have a comment from Timmy who said, take care of the customer at the highest level, without a doubt. You know, the old days of the car business was, as you just mentioned, Don, the boss was upstairs in an office that overlooked the showroom. You'd see the phone ring and it'd be going, hey, there's an up out there. And now the new idea, funny, Don, you did this a little while ago, was let's bring them down to the level. And you know something, if the owner walks around, there's a group up here that the owner's famous. He's got 25 stores. Famous for flying into one of his stores, walking in the showroom, interrupting the salesman, slamming his hand on the desk and saying, what do we have to do to make a deal here, folks? And most of the time they turn around and leave.
Yes.
So it's, and by the way, Tim made another comment, as we can see, I require my manager and myself to speak to every customer. So Tim, I'm going to ask you this. So you made this, how do you create raving fans other than that?
So right off the bat, every customer walks to the store, they're either going to speak with myself or my new car or used car manager. When they're interacting with the finance or the salesperson, my finance manager is also going to be involved. We're getting familiar with the customer right off the bat, so it's not a surprise when we do have to come out and engage with that. One of the things we also do at the dealership level here too is we have confetti throws. And if you're listening and connected in with me anywhere in LinkedIn or Facebook or anything like that, you're going to see at the end of the whole experience, even if it was a 7 or 8 experience, at the end, we have such a celebration with my staff and the customer that we're throwing confettis, we're having fun with the customer the whole time. We call it, my new car manager, Mike, we call him Mazda Mike, he comes out, it's all about high fives and fist bumps. We have the customer have an enjoyable experience the whole way through the process. And you'll see such a dramatic, our CSI has been through the roof. We've been doing this the last 7-8 months. And it's just been an incredible experience. And we're getting recognition through YouTube and Facebook and different things like that. We're seeing the customers coming in. We had one customer, for example, brought in champagne because they saw our confetti throws and said, we're not gonna just do confetti, we want to do a whole champagne experience when we take delivery of our car. And literally had champagne, and they fired off champagne before they drove off with the car. So experiences like that.
Wow.
That's great. That somebody that will find offense to alcohol in cars.
They didn't drink anything ahead of time, but at the same time, they did fire it off, and they sprayed their car down real good, so we had to re-clean it after the fact. So it was a fun experience, and they loved it. They had a blast with it, and it's just about creating that whole atmosphere the whole time. It's just an exciting atmosphere. If you're boring, hey, welcome to Jermaine Mazda, you're going to be boring. If the guy come in with high energy, let the customer know, hey, we're going to take care of you, we're going to serve you at the highest level. We say that to them. We tell them that ahead of time. Hey, we're going to do everything. If you need anything, a lot of times I'll do, my office is right there. If you're not being served at the highest level, you come find me right now, or one of my managers will make sure it does happen. We put a guarantee out there, and then I require my managers to back that up every single time.
Hey, Tim, your attitude's absolutely perfect. And the beauty of this is what happens when you have that kind of attitude with salespeople, they have it with the customers, and everybody's happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the perfect synergy between a happy management team and a happy staff. But you got to understand, I'm all over the country. Well, I can now say I'm all over 2 countries because I just did work in Canada. There's a whole lot of guys that have a title that says manager that never looked in the dictionary, understand that manager means to manage. They could care less about atmosphere.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I call my managers leaders. They're servant leaders. You guys can't get out behind your desk, and we'll take your chairs and get them out of there. So you're going to get out and talk to the customers. You wouldn't need to stand up, just like the sales guys. You need to stand up and make phone calls, put a big smile on your face while you're making phone calls. Set that energy ahead of time.
Hey, Ian and Jeff, if I had had Tim as my general manager, I wouldn't be as scarred emotionally and mentally as I am. That's it.
Larry's smart for life.
You just mentioned some of those people's titles shouldn't be manager, it should be damager.
And then they could be proud that they got promoted from general to senior. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
My first sales manager wanted to teach me GFT, go for the throat.
Wow.
There's also the CDO, Chief Damaging Officer.
Wow.
John,
So
how do you personally create raving fans?
You have to go the extra mile. Wow, it's so competitive to get a client. Gail can tell you, it's and to keep a relationship. The expectations are so high. I'm doing Zoom calls. I have a client. Well, some of them they all, first, when you take on a client, there's always more to the story than you see. That's for sure. And so their expectations are higher than yours are, because you obviously want to create a strong impression. So you want to solve the problems as quickly as possible. And along the way, you find out that there are other issues along the way. And some of those issues are like we're talking about here. There are cultural issues that are below the surface that need to come up. And you're working with other managers, and primarily the general manager, to surface those in such a way that you're working in team atmosphere. And you're not attacking anyone, because you're the servant, right?
Gail, I know how you create raving fans of Retail Resilient, TikTok, blah, blah, but how do you create raving fans, period? How did you create it in your dealership career?
Trying to think back to my retail days. I would say, I don't know, just like show up for work every day, take care of the customer. It's like what Tim was saying and what Don was saying about being at Flemington. Like, I luckily worked for a dealer principal that gave me empowered us and said, just take care of them. Like, you don't even need to ask me. Like, if there's a problem, just fix it and make sure they're happy. And if there's a major issue, you can come to us. But on the retail side, it's kind of everything that Tim said. And you just go above and beyond with the transparency when you're doing, like, we didn't Foursquare people. It was, here's the sale price, here's your trade, here's your tax, here's your dog.
That was so foreign to that whole, I'm blessed. I worked for the DeFeos. They didn't do that. I worked for Fleming Car Truck Country. They didn't do that. I worked for the Prestige organization, North Jersey. They're process oriented. They didn't do that. When I worked for them, almost all their brands were in the top 10 in the country. I just, I was fortunate to be in the right places at the right time, and they grew my careers. It's like being with the Germains now. That's the ticket. You want to be in the right organization at the right time. You're going to take something from them. You take a piece. Even from clients, I'm learning stuff from them. The business is just so dynamic. Just
certainly is, isn't it? And it's very funny because we go back to that question. What makes fans, the company, the CEO, the process, the frontline staff? Well, the fact is the CEO can't get their vision across if the frontline staff aren't on the same page. And the frontline staff, as good as they are and as caring as they may be, if the CEO says you got to do Foursquares, it's a whole chicken and the egg thing.
Well,
Can I throw something in too that I think I've got my friend Gail on here, who is a tech extraordinaire, and Tim, you look like you know what the heck you're doing. Don, you're all over. Let me throw one other thing in. It's called a phone, and getting people to answer their phone and be responsive. I'm getting more and more successful. I'd love to tell you I'm brilliant. I'm not. I just answer my damn phone. And when I do it, I smile and I write everything down. And the old school stuff is more important now than it ever was, because a lot of things get lost in the tech world. I've never met anybody that says, boy, do I love those phone prompts where they put me to 19 people and then hang up on me.
God, I get so angry. You guys want to see that? Watch me call Comcast.
I'm just curious.
I had a call with them this morning. It was horrible.
Ian and Jeff, I hear Gail angry. Don said go for the throat. Maybe we could get you into a sales meeting with Tim. I think he'll nurture you a little bit better. I see a lot of repressed anger here.
I'm trying to find that hug emoji.
Absolutely.
Listen, the key to having raving fans is want to have raving fans. The guys and the ladies, they get up in the morning and go, man, listen, this sounds apocryphal, Tim, but it's true. I'm in Virginia, and a guy Googles me who was in a class, training class, and says, Mr. Feldman, you look really successful. Will you tell me how you got rich? I says, are you ready? Because I had already quoted Shakespeare and Socrates. He pulled out his pad. I said, I didn't want to be bored. He says, I don't get it. I says, I didn't get it either. I work with 10 imbeciles that wanted to stare out the window all day and moan and bitch. Tim, you ever see this? 5 guys going, the business sucks. There's never any customers. A guy pulls up and says, you want to take him? No, he's probably not a buyer. You see, you got to get up in the morning and want to be productive. You got to have a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
You got to be excited. They're not annoyances. They're opportunities. They're annuities.
I have a classic story.
I have
Classic. I'm in a Volvo store, 1980, maybe 81, in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Guy pulls up, a couple pulls up in a Rambler wagon, wearing blue jeans. His wife gets out, she has a poodle. They walk up to the dealership, and I said, okay, this is my up. And he walks in, he has bearing. I could tell he's somebody. He's John Pierpont. Do you know who John Pierpont is?
Sure.
Okay.
Who is that? I don't know who that
John
is.
Pierpont. John Pierpont Morgan. JP Morgan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
a Rambler.
I wind up, it's looking for a Volvo wagon. I'm talking to him about leasing. I'm really like, oh my God, I'm talking to the president of the damn bank. I mean, he has more money than God. It was really interesting. 3 or 4 weeks, he buys, calls me up, says we're going to do the deal. I think there's $1,300 profit in the car. Took a little bit off. I made $1,000. I deliver the car to his house. I go up there with my buddy. We're in his house, and all the Pierponts are on the wall in the drawing room. One of his people come, they offer us iced tea, and he lives on Larger Cross Road in Far Hills, New Jersey. He lives on a dirt road.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Dirt road.
You know, it's funny. I had
He
the
has cattle out there. He has prize cattle.
Yeah.
Didn't lose their roots.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had the opportunity
First
to
name.
meet the lady at NADA, and she's their company, and I won't name drop or anything, but no. And their company is actually in partnership on a charity with Richard Branson.
Okay.
And she said she's had the opportunity to go to his island, and this guy comes out wearing flip-flops and, you know, torn cutoffs and a tank top. And she says if she didn't know who he was, she wouldn't know who he was. That's the kind of down-to-earth guy he is, with 25 or 30 billion dollars. But, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were talking about this morning, Jeff, that you have, you know, just because you're a wealthy individual doesn't mean you don't have to be a genuinely nice individual. I mean, I think that's the big learning here is be kind to people, treat them with respect, you know, make it a positive experience and make it special. I mean, I used to do something really simple when I sold cars. We had to introduce the customer to the service department when we did as part of our process. Well, I would always get that customer there for delivery, even sometimes there for just looking at a car at the final stages. I would get them something from the parts department that I would pay for. And the other guys I work with are like, what are you doing? It's like, well, you know, you got to make that special, but more importantly, it's about what the customer wants. It's not about what I want. I sell cars every single day. And what is funny is now 12 years later, I still get calls from people that I sold cars to over 12 years ago with questions. So it's about the customer at the end of the day. There is no extra customer, but more importantly, you know, the only way to grow a business is to take care of that customer. They took the time to give you an opportunity to do business with them. You need to treat them with respect and you need to make it a good experience. Why chase that bar that was set 30 years ago incorrectly, you know, or 50 years ago or 100 years ago incorrectly? I mean, that's my view.
Well, we're running
out of time. So final comments. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Final comments. It was good to see some of my old friends on here. I hope you guys are raving fans of mine. I don't know. I'm raving fans of you. I mean, I've known Don and Larry for a long time. So yeah, it's good to see your faces on the show.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Gail. Again, we really appreciate everything you do, but by being a guest today, that means a lot to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don,
and now that I've met Tim, I already friended you on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook.
There we go. Appreciate you.
So like 10 years from now, I'll be like, I met Tim 10 years
There we
ago.
go.
You know?
Cool. Appreciate you.
Tim, you'll be getting a message from Gail any minute telling you how wonderful my training and recruiting services are. I like that. That's why I'm a raving fan of hers.
I love it. Thank you.
actually, I do hear Larry's got some TikTok videos coming out really soon. He's going to be doing those training.
I got the real fugitive videos. I don't need those TikTok videos.
Oh, that's right. There you go. Don, final comments.
I don't know, maybe I need Gail's help with the TikTok videos to do this.
Hey, can we have an Auto Hub Show TikTok and I'll teach everyone how to TikTok?
Heck
We
yeah.
could definitely do
That would be
that.
fun.
We could arrange
Heck
that.
yeah. You know, Ian might be a little bit reserved on it.
It's all right. Tim will bring some of his champagne.
There we go. We'll fire it off.
Thank you for
I really enjoyed interacting with everybody for my first time. This is phenomenal.
We really appreciate it. Expect invites from Ian about till you finally want to block him on messaging. And for our unscheduled guests, Larry, thank you as always. We do appreciate it. We have a Larry Feldman show coming up here soon, which will be the new automotive Seinfeld. And Tim, thanks for joining us. I did the same thing as Gail on LinkedIn, Facebook. I don't know. Facebook's driving me nuts, but that's a whole different story. And thank you very much. A pleasure to meet you.
And thanks, Guy, for tuning in as well.
Yeah, and Guy, thank you. We love it. You attend quite regularly, so we do appreciate it. Ian, I'll leave it to you to say goodbye.
Thanks very much, everybody. And stay tuned for a Metaverse show coming up soon. And next week's episode will be on our car shows worth it. And we're going to have some people actually manage and promote car shows who are involved in it from all over North America. So it should be interesting. And then the Metaverse show, if you're curious about what the Metaverse is, we're going to have a number of experts, including the first car dealer in North America to deliver a car virtually in the Metaverse. That's about it.
Tim.
Have yourself a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.